Welcome to the Dark Mysteries podcast, where we tell dark and mysterious stories. If you like the dark and mysterious, hit that like and subscribe button to help support the channel.
Today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating and, frankly, chilling topic.
We've gathered sources from Wikipedia, Vermonter.com, Legends of America, even Vermont Public, all looking at these strange disappearances in an area of Vermont that's become known as the Bennington Triangle.
Right, it's this cluster of cases, mostly from the late 40s, mixed with older folklore. It's built up quite a reputation.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack what these sources tell us. What actually happened? What's the lore? What are the theories? How did this patch of woods get this unsettling name?
Let's get into it. It's a complex story.
Okay, so first off, the name itself, Bennington Triangle, sounds a bit dramatic. Where did that actually come from?
Well, yeah, it's not an official geographical name or anything. It was actually coined much later in 1992.
1992?
Yeah, by a Vermont author, Joseph Citro. He's known for writing about weird Vermont stuff. He mentioned it on Vermont Public Radio, basically connecting these disappearances and some older spooky tales to this specific area.
Ah, okay. So Citro popularized the term, but the strange events, or at least the stories, predate the name.
Oh, definitely. The area itself, we're talking southwestern Vermont.
Right.
The sources say it's kind of centered around Glastonbury Mountain.
Right.
And it includes bits of towns like Bennington, Woodford, Shaftesbury, and Somerset.
Right.
But Glastonbury and Somerset, they're basically ghost towns now. Used to be logging towns, but pretty much abandoned.
Ghost towns. Okay, that adds to the atmosphere, doesn't it?
It really does. That isolation is part of the story. And this cluster of disappearances that Citra really focused on, they happened mainly between 1945 and 1950.
Just a 5-year window.
That's the core period, yeah. The one source does mention odd things happening around Glastonbury Mountain going back much further, maybe even to the 1870s. So Citro linked these modern cases to the older lore and other mystery spots, like the Bridgewater Triangle over Massachusetts.
Gotcha. So a relatively new name for an area with a long history of unease, maybe? And these 5 core disappearances, they're really the heart of it.
They are. The sources lay them out chronologically, and it starts with Mitty Rivers, November 12, 1945.
He was older, right? 74. But knew his way around the woods.
Extremely well, yeah. Described as a skilled outdoorsman, he was out hunting near Woodford, got separated from his group. But the weird thing, someone saw him walking away from camp, not towards it.
Away from camp? That's odd. Immediately strange. What about the search?
They're massive, huge effort. Locals, the Vermont State Guard, even soldiers from Fort Devens in Massachusetts. They searched this huge, rugged area for days.
And found
almost nothing. A single rifle cartridge, maybe, the type he used. And then the following spring, a hiker found his handkerchief miles south of where he was last seen. But nobody. Ever.
A seasoned woodsman walks the wrong way. Huge search. Practically vanishes. Okay, that sets a tone. And the next one is probably the most famous. Paula Weldon.
Definitely the most famous. December 1st, 1946. Just over a year after Rivers. She was 18, a sophomore at Bennington College. Went for a hike on the Long Trail.
And she wasn't really dressed for it, was she? The sources mentioned that.
No, not for serious hiking or bad weather. Red jacket, jeans, sneakers, no gear. Just out for a walk, it seemed.
And people saw her.
Oh yeah, several people. She hitched a ride part way, got directions. Then this elderly couple hiking behind her on the trail. This is the part that gets repeated. They said she walked around a bend, and when they got there just moments later, she was gone. Just vanished.
God, like into thin air. That's chilling.
That's how they described it. Her disappearance became a huge story, front page news. Because she was a college student, her family had connections. The search was enormous. 1,000 people, planes, FBI got involved, reward offered.
But the search itself had problems.
Yeah, sources say it was kind of frantic, disorganized at first. It actually highlighted the need for a statewide police force, which Vermont didn't really have coordinated like that back then.
And the result?
Nothing.
Yeah.
No trace of Paula Weldon ever found. Her case directly led to the creation of the Vermont State Police the next year. And it supposedly inspired Shirley Jackson's novel, Hangs a Man. Still completely unsolved.
Okay, 2 disappearances, no bodies, barely any clues. Then, skip ahead 3 years. December 1st, 1949, the exact same date as Paula Weldon.
Right. James Tedford, 68 years old, a World War I vet, living at the Vermont Soldiers' Home in Bennington.
And his disappearance wasn't in the woods, was it?
No, this one is maybe even stranger. He vanished from a bus.
From a bus? How?
He was coming back from visiting family up north, boarded the bus in St. Albans, changed buses in Burlington, was seen on the final leg towards Bennington. Witnesses said there were like 14 people on board at the last stop before Bennington.
Okay.
But when the bus arrived in Bennington, Tedford wasn't on it. His bags were still on the rack, an open bus schedule on his empty seat.
Wait, so between the last stop and the station, he just evaporated off a moving bus?
It seems impossible, right? The driver thought maybe he got off miles earlier in a town called Brandon, but nobody actually saw him get off. There was a report in Brandon that night of a guy matching his description acting strange.
So maybe he did get off somehow. But why leave his stuff?
Exactly. And he wasn't reported missing for a week, which didn't help. Sources also mentioned he had some mental health issues. Maybe he didn't want to go back to the soldiers' home, so maybe not supernatural, but still utterly baffling how he disappeared, and he was never seen again.
3 cases, 2 on the same date. Then 1950 becomes a really bad year. October 12th, Paul Jepson.
Paul Jepson, yeah. Just 8 years old, a child with special needs.
And he disappeared from the town dump.
That's right, the Bennington town dump. His mother was driving a truck, doing some chores with pigs they kept nearby. She left Paul in the truck unattended for maybe half an hour.
Oh, no.
Came back, he was gone.
Terrible. What did the search turn up? Bloodhounds?
Yeah, they brought in bloodhounds. They picked up his scent, followed it along a road leading away from the dump towards Glastonbury Mountain. And then at an intersection, the trail just went cold. Stopped dead.
Just like Paula Weldon turning the corner. An abrupt end.
Very similar feel, yeah. Police thought maybe rain washed the scent away, or maybe, well, his father theorized a hit and run. Maybe someone panicked and took the boy.
Yeah.
Or maybe because he was wearing brownish clothes, he wandered into the autumn woods and just blended in.
But they never found him.
Never. No sign. Nothing.
4 people gone without a trace. And then, just 16 days later, October 28th, 1950, the last of the core 5.
Frida Lamer, 53 years old, also described as an experienced hiker and hunter. She was camping with family near Somerset Reservoir, which is in that same general area.
And what happened to her?
She was hiking with her cousin, slipped in a stream, got her clothes wet, decided to head back to the campsite to change, told her cousin she'd take a shortcut. It wasn't far. See him back there. Broad daylight.
And she didn't make it back.
Never showed up. Cousin waited, went back. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
Vanished on that short walk back.
Another massive search.
Huge search. Planes, helicopters, hundreds of people scouring the area around the reservoir. Her husband wondered if maybe the cold shock triggered a seizure. She had a known disorder and she got disoriented. But again, the search was called off after finding nothing.
So just like the others. Wait, no. Her case is different, isn't it?
It is, because Frida Langer's body was eventually found.
Found. When? Where?
7 months later, May 1951. Fishermen found her remains near Somerset Reservoir. But here's the kicker, the really strange part.
Yeah.
Her body was discovered in an area that had supposedly been searched repeatedly, very thoroughly, during the initial hunt.
Whoa. Okay, that is weird. Found where they'd already looked? How did they explain that?
Well, because of the decomposition, they couldn't determine an exact cause of death.
What?
One investigator theorized she might have fallen into a deep pool of water, maybe hidden, drowned, and the body only surfaced or got washed out months later by spring floods.
Plausible, maybe, but still adds another layer of mystery, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So she's the only one found, but even her recovery is puzzling. 5 cases, 1945 to 1950, 4 never seen again, 1 found under strange circumstances. You can see why Citro latched onto this period.
Yeah, when you lay them out like that,
That's
it's deeply unsettling. But the sources say the weirdness isn't just those 5 disappearances, right? There's other stuff in the local lore.
Oh yeah, tons.
Yep.
The disappearances are like the main exhibit, but the museum is full of other weird stuff, like the Bennington monster.
Bigfoot, basically.
Pretty much. Sources describe it as, big, hairy, over 6 feet tall, dark. And sightings allegedly go way, way back, early 1800s even.
Really? What kind of sightings?
There's this old story about a stagecoach driver seeing huge footprints, then the coach getting attacked, maybe overturned by some large creature. Passengers just saw eyes. And one source even connects giant footprints found near where a man named Carol Herrick died in 1943, claimed he was found squeezed to death.
Squeezed to death. Okay, that's more than just spooky footprints. That's terrifying.
Right. Adds a really dark edge. And beyond monsters, the sources mentioned UFO reports, strange lights in the sky, weird sounds, even a phantom hitchhiker legend associated with the area.
So it's a whole buffet of high strangeness. Cryptozoology, UFOs, ghosts. Did the Native American history of the area play into this at all?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a recurring theme. Sources say local tribes tended to avoid Glastonbury Mountain. There's this specific Algonquin legend about a man-eating stone on the mountain that could swallow
A
people.
man-eating stone.
Yeah. So some theories directly blame the disappearances on that kind of thing,
Hmm.
an Indian curse or some ancient malevolent force tied to the land itself.
So the idea that the mountain is dangerous, maybe even actively hostile, existed long before 1945.
Seems so. Based on the folklore reported, it
Mhm.
provides this sort of historical resonance for the later disappearances, and fuels all sorts of theories.
Okay, let's talk theories. We got the basic environmental dangers, right? Rugged terrain, easy to get lost.
For sure. That's the most rational explanation, and the one the state police seem to favor. Dense woods, remote area, accidents happen. Remains might never be found due to animals and decomposition. Makes perfect sense for hikers and hunters getting lost.
Plausible for Rivers and Langer, maybe even Weldon if she got off trail. But Tedford on the bus, little Paul Jepson at the dump.
Exactly. That's where other theories come in. Foul play is a big one. Was there a serial killer? Were some of these abductions, especially Jepson? The sources stress there's no actual evidence linking the cases to a single killer, but the mystery itself breeds suspicion.
And then you get into the really out there stuff.
Yep. This is where the triangle aspect really takes off, fueled by Citro and online speculation. Aliens, time warps, dimensional portals, energy vortexes.
The man-eating rock legend comes back.
You bet. Wendigo legends, other supernatural forces, secret government experiments, cults, even weird wind patterns causing confusion. Pretty much any paranormal or conspiracy theory you can think of has probably been attached to the Bennington Triangle at some point.
It's a lot. So how did this collection of local tragedies and weird old stories blow up into this global phenomenon?
Well, it started locally. After the Jepson and Langer disappearances happened so close together in 1950, local papers in Bennington started connecting the dots,
Hmm.
wondering about this lost horizon in their backyard.
So people were already sensing a pattern before Citro named it?
Seems like it.
Ah.
But Citro definitely gave it the brand name, the Bennington Triangle, in '92. And then his books really pushed it, mixing the facts with, as the sources say, his own fanciful speculation. He explicitly linked the disappearances to the monster stories, the man-eating rock, aliens.
He kind of packaged it all together for a wider audience.
Yeah, he apparently calls it a weird alchemy, blending the real events, the old folklore, and newer paranormal ideas, which, makes for a compelling story.
And then the internet era just amplified it exponentially.
Totally. YouTube, podcasts, TV shows. Suddenly, the Bennington Triangle is everywhere in paranormal circles. And like one source mentioned, the way algorithms work, you search for it once and you just get pulled deeper into the wildest theories.
It's interesting how that works. But what about in Bennington itself? Is it this constant topic of conversation?
Apparently not, according to the Vermont Public piece.
Yeah.
It's a big contrast. Some locals haven't even heard the term Bennington Triangle. Others know the stories but see them as just that spooky local lore. Sad history, maybe, but not something they dwell on daily.
So it's become bigger outside Vermont than inside, in a way. What's the official take now, like from the Vermont State Police?
Pretty grounded. One captain interviewed basically said, look, it's mountains, it's wilderness, people get lost, it's tragic, but it's likely due to the environment, accidents, exposure. Recovering bodies in that terrain is incredibly hard, sometimes impossible. He was pretty skeptical of any supernatural explanation.
Right. Back to the environmental factors.
Yeah. And he also pointed out something important. These 5 cases are famous, but they're not the only unsolved disappearances in Vermont's wilderness. There are others on the missing persons list. The Bennington Triangle cases just got the most attention and got woven into this narrative.
So the Bennington Triangle might just be the most famous examples of the dangers inherent in that kind of environment.
That's certainly a strong possibility presented in the sources, yeah. A cluster of tragedies amplified by folklore and modern media.
Okay, so recapping. We have this intense 5-year period, 1945 to 1950. 5 people vanish in or near this remote area around Glastonbury Mountain, Mitty Rivers, Paula Weldon, James Tedford, Paul Jepson, Frida Langer. Only Langer's body was ever found, and even that was under slightly weird circumstances.
And surrounding these core cases, you have this deep well of older folklore monsters, cursed land combined with every modern theory imaginable, from serial killers to aliens, all wrapped up by Joseph Citro with the catchy Bennington Triangle name, and then blasted out to the world via the internet.
It really is one of those enduring mysteries, isn't it? Captures the imagination because there are just enough facts to ground it, but enough unknowns to let speculation run wild.
Precisely. The lack of closure is key.
So, after digging through all this, what do you think? Are we looking at a series of unconnected, tragic incidents magnified by the harshness of the Vermont wilderness? Or is there something truly strange, something inexplicable tied to that specific place, that patch of land around Glastonbury Mountain?
It's the question that keeps people coming back to the story, isn't it? The sources give you arguments for both sides.
They really do. What are your theories? We'd love to hear what you think happened in the Bennington Triangle. Leave a comment below. We discuss news stories weekly, so don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
And let us know if there are other dark mysteries you think we should tackle in the future here on the Dark Mysteries Podcast.